Hey, there he is. Good to see you, mate. Nice jumper.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Um, guys, welcome to another Limit Breakers interview. Today I've got James Duigan, um, with me today. He's going to be opening up and sharing about his journey, which I've been lucky to be a part of and in support of as well. But there's a lot to James as well that naturally brings with him. For those of you who don't know me, I am a mentor, writer, speaker. I help people transcend limitations of their mind and take them on a journey called limitless living, so to truly be themselves and live a life of possibility now, not when. Part of my journey at the moment is finding others that, uh, just being themselves and living this stuff as well to help give, I think, another reference point to other people out there that are looking for, a different way of being at the moment, different way of life, considering all the changes going on. So I'm really excited to be able to connect with you, James, and do that today. Because you're a pretty amazing guy. You got a big heart, and Maddie's on there. I can see one of your mates, your mate Matt. Um, so,
Yeah.
um, but yeah, I'm really excited to do this because you share very genuinely, very authentically. Um, and I just know you're a straight up sort of guy, and I think that's really important when talking about mental health and well-being as well. That it's not fluffy. We keep it real, and I know you're someone that does that really well. So, mate, thanks for jumping on here today.
Thanks for having me. It's really, yeah, nice to be chatting to you, to anybody.
Yeah, yeah.
Very
Have you
lonely.
got, mate? Has your internet? Is it showing up for everyone else? Is James all pixely, or is it just me? Let me know in the chat. Are you on Wi-Fi, James, or your phone?
I'm on my phone. I'm on Wi-Fi actually. I'll get what? Give me a second, and I'll just go on to not Wi-Fi.
Yeah, good idea. Try that because they're saying you're blurry as well. See if he drops out or he'll stay. He's pixelated. Yeah, we're
For
gonna
that.
fix it, guys. See if this fixes it up. Give it a sec. It's just doing its thing. There you go. Way better. You're clear now. Oh, is he frozen? Oh, we're waiting for him. He's come back. Give it a second. Stay with us, guys. It might drop out, but if it does, I'll pick it back up. Come on. It says better. I can't see him. Everyone else like, yep, can see him. Give us a sec. So maybe. Oh, James, you can let me get him back in. Hang on a sec. He'll come back. He'll find me. Well, thanks for everyone's jumping in here. I saw you, Maddie, before commenting. Marie's in there. Schmidt, there he is. Christina's on here. Michelle, fantastic. James will probably try and jump back in a second. Who else is on here? Fizzy, Willy Billy, Sandy. Hey, Sandy. Here's James. Good old Wi-Fi issues at the moment. Who would have thought everyone would be at home using their Wi-Fi these days? There you go. So you're off Wi-Fi because your phone was better.
No, I'm on Wi-Fi.
Ah, okay. It was really clear when you went to your phone, but it might have dropped out because you swapped over, or was your phone signal low?
Yeah, my phone signal was low as well. It's kind of weird. Sorry.
Ah, okay. Is anyone else on the Wi-Fi in the house?
No, it's just we've isolated down on the coast, and it's not great here. So sorry to everybody.
Yeah. Hey, it might have dropped out when you went to your phone because you swapped over, but yeah, we'll see how we go. Um,
Okay. Yeah.
but
I'm looking
if
at
you need,
my bars on my phone, and there's only two.
it's two. Okay. Well, let's see how we go. We can see you now at least. You're not too pixelated, so we'll give it a try. But anyway, we'll go with it. So, mate, yeah, I wanted to get you on here today and ask a couple of questions, see where the convo goes. Who knows? Um,
Hmm.
One of the first things I suppose I wanted to ask you is, what does limitless living mean to you?
Um, I mean, it's a new thing for me because I've lived my life, um, honestly from a place of fear and lack up until pretty recently, and I did really well with that. I survived my
What do you mean
childhood,
by
and
that?
well, in I guess in the story of my childhood was that it was something that I had to survive,
Mm.
um, and I did that really well, you know. And hunger was a big part of my childhood, and loneliness, um, and those kinds of things. Um, and right through my teenage years, I sort of never really fitted in where I grew up in Adelaide, and just kind of got through. And then, you know, to jump forward, I started a business, a company from nothing really, and built it to, I mean, it spanned the globe, and it was a big thing, but it was all from a feeling of lack. It was all from looking back on it. I needed to build this thing to sort of feel like I belonged somewhere, and to give me a sense of safety and security, and all these things came from external things that I created. And and since working with you, I've found that within myself.
Yeah.
And
So what do you
then
mean? What do you mean by that when you say found that within yourself? 'Cause most people hear like what you're saying, like, oh yeah, okay. Even when you talk about building it from lack, how did you? I suppose before you get to finding fulfillment, how did you realize that you were building it from lack?
I guess what I can say in a way that would maybe make sense uh, is that whatever I did, it was never enough. So I,
Yeah.
I felt like I remember thinking, if I could one day own a home, I'll be okay. That'll be it. Um, and then I got that, and I thought, okay, if I could get two, then I'll be fine. And then three, and then that's a proper thing then. But it was never enough, because I always needed more, and I felt like I needed more security. Or if I could write a book, then that would be amazing. I would have made it. And uh, and then it was like, if I could get it published, that would be incredible. If someone bought it, and and then I got to a million. I sold 1 million books, but it wasn't enough. It didn't mean anything. Um, and
Mm.
and I've witnessed this with people that I've worked with over the years, that maybe are in the public eye, and you realize none of this stuff is ever enough, and it becomes addictive. And I just knew that I sort of started to realize this is never going to be enough. Um, and I had to follow what I really felt, what sort of filled me with joy, and what I truly loved. And yeah, and when I started doing that, life transformed.
Mm. How did you? It's a great example that you gave there, like building things from lack and not it never not being enough. And I think one of the most profound things that I've seen you realize, and in working with people, is they realize that
Right.
when you're building from lack, you're only reinforcing lack. You know, so it's awesome to see you realize that. But how did you then get to the place, or when you speak of moving from fulfillment, what does that mean for you now? Like moving from a place of feeling fulfilled?
I don't know how. I mean, I I don't know how to describe it. I'm really sorry. I'm just trying to think of, like, something that happened the other day that I can share. I went out for a surf. I think I
Yeah.
told you, or I told some. We were on a group call. I went out for a surf, and I couldn't catch any waves. It just wasn't happening for me. And I was expecting to go out and surf and catch waves, and I was sort of feeling frustrated. I was like, "What's going on?" And then I thought, "Okay, I'm just gonna go with this. Doesn't matter. Like, I'm just gonna sit here, and I'm out in the ocean, and it's okay." And I was sitting there, and and then a pod of dolphins swam past me. And I just realized, wow, I was expecting to come out and surf, but that's not why I was here. I'm just here to experience this. It was beautiful. And I guess I've begun to live a life of appreciation rather than expectation. You know, I've always had, and I still do have expectations of, you know, how I want things to be or how I feel like they should be. And I'm finding more and more that that's not how this journey works. And it's much easier and more fulfilling and wonderful when I'm just being with what is, and without the expectation. And it's been amazing. Yeah, I don't know how to. I guess the only way I can really communicate is through stories.
Mate, that's the
So
best
much of
way
what I've
because
loved.
that's the best way because it's tangible.
Okay. Yeah. So, you know, I mean, you've seen my journey. It's weird. We've kind of we met. What is it? 15 years ago? I don't know. 10 years ago? 12?
Something like that. Years ago, yeah.
Yeah. And you know, over those years, I've always kind of felt like I'm really interested in what Jamie's got to say. I'd love to work with him in some way, but it never quite happened. And as you know, it's difficult to get me to commit to something like that. You know, like I'm like, yeah, I want to, and you're like, all right, we'll book in, and you're like, oh, okay, I will. You're like, all right, well, you know, I'm here when you're ready. I'm like, yeah, I'm ready now. Okay, we'll book in. I will. And that went on for years, like literally that conversation.
That went on for a while.
Yeah, and I remember I'd come back to Sydney with my family, and I was jet lagged, and I woke up with my baby Charlotte, and we went down to look at the waves. We're staying in Bondi, and I walked down, and I took her to just look at the waves. It was about 6 in the morning, and we sat there for about an hour. It was amazing, and then we walked back up, and we were sitting in Cali Press, and we were sharing a green juice, and I was just thinking, man, this is amazing. Like, look at the life that's here. It's so beautiful. It's amazing. And I thought, but it's not real life, you know. And then I thought, yes, it is. It's real life for everybody else here. Like, why do I have to go back to London and do this stuff that I'm not even enjoying anymore? And then I saw you skate past on your skateboard, and with a big smile on your face, and I was like, oh, you mother Jamie, kind of thing. And I said, you have time for a chat? You're like, yeah, definitely. And sort of came in and sat down, and we had a really nice chat. And I was like, man, I'd love to work with you. And you're like, cool, book in. All you have to do is book in. I was like, I will. And I didn't. And then we'd sort of stayed in touch, kind of. And then the next time I saw you, you dropped into the cafe and gym that I owned in London in Westbourne Grove, and I was having an argument with someone that worked for me, and you were like, sorry to interrupt. I was like, no, it's fine. And I think you said then, are you ready? Like, do you want to do a session? Like, do you want to work? And I was like, let's book in now. And I booked in, and we went and had a session right there and then. And I've never looked back. You know, life's been pretty amazing since then. You know, and we were, you know, Chrissy and I were in a huge, you know, we had a big business, and our life was planned. Like, we had, like, this was how it was going to go, kind of thing. And the next 15 years were sort of set. And I just remember one day coming back to Chrissy and saying, I think that's it. I think I'm out. And she just sort of said, okay, I'm with you. And it's so funny. I'll send this picture to you, and you can share it, and I'll share it as well. Rafaela had just been born, our little baby, our third baby. And I remember we'd gotten a photographer to come over, and she's called One Fine Day or something. She just takes candid photos. And that was the day that it had all kind of come up, and we were we were in this little creek bed, and she took a photo of the moment that me and Chrissy were discussing, like, right, we've decided we're out, we're going to go. And there's a photo of me sitting on a rock and Chrissy laying her head on my shoulder. And I was like, man, that was the moment we decided, like,
Wow.
we're going off script, we're going off piece, and we're going to follow this feeling, you know? And look, all I can say is that following that feeling, or that part of you that knows, it's the only way. It's the only
Okay.
way, because nothing makes sense.
Beautiful. I love that you're sharing that
Yeah.
right now, James, because right now there's a lot of shit going on where things you made a decision to follow a feeling, right? And your life became unplanned, right? But it was planned. Like you said, I had the next 15 years. I thought and I'm sure you would have felt a level of certainty in that, right? Then you made
Massive.
a decision to follow, then you made follow a decision or follow a feeling that was completely uncertain, right? And illogical, crazy, didn't make sense. And a lot of things right now that are happening for people is things are falling away. They're uncertain. The story's changed. You can't find certainty right now in the story. It's really difficult. So that's why I wanted to chat with you today, because just what you've just shared, you know, in following that feeling, I'm sure you wouldn't have been certain at first, right? But there's a decision to make a step in that direction of what you feel. So can you share, like, because right now people are looking for, like, you know, where do I go? What direction do I take? And they're trying to find direction in the story, but they can't. I know a lot of people are then having to really, for the first time ever, connect with themselves and go, hang on, what do I want? Which I think is a beautiful thing. You know, fantastic. Things have finally fallen away. What you thought was important has fallen away in your life, and now you're left with yourself. What do you want? What do you feel is true for you? So, can you share a little bit about your, like, that willingness to follow the feeling? What inspired you there, and how did that feel taking that step into this, stepping with this feeling and diving into the unknown?
I can now look at my life and feel very lucky for the incredible amount of pressure that I was under to look. I had no choice but to follow my feeling. You know, my life, or the story, my circumstance had made it so if I don't, I'm gonna die one way or the other. Like, I was
Yeah.
on, you mean, you were there, like, I was under pressure. There was, like, serious pressure from
Yeah.
serious people, you know, and it was all like high stakes in the story. And I just thought, I've either got to commit to following my heart or not. And I cannot think of the other option. So I just followed my heart. And I'm very lucky to have had those experiences that have given me no other option. You know, I'm lucky to have a person in my life, Chrissy, you know, that is so unbelievably supportive of, or just holds that space. You know, she's not even supportive. She just holds the space for me to do that. And, you know, I feel blessed. So I didn't have another option. And,
When when you say that, James, just to point out, like, as you said, it felt like dying. I suppose the other option was to continue going at it in the story, continue trying to make the business work, continue committing to these people, and that just felt like death all of a sudden. It changed for you, right?
yes, it did. Look, success began to look and feel very different. So in previous years, success was a bigger business, another best-selling book, you know, a new location, opening in LA. I was fixated on that, you know, all of these things. And success began to look like just more time with my family, and um, and just doing things that filled me with joy. You know, like, yeah, I knew that it was time to follow my heart. and to do it
Yeah.
because I loved it. I choose it because I
Yeah.
choose it. I didn't have to justify it to anyone. I didn't have to make it seem to make sense. You know, just as a tiny little tangent, um, when I left, I exited the business and I just sat, and you encouraged me, you supported me, like, mate, you don't have to do something, just be.
Yeah.
You know, and there's this beautiful quote that I think Amir says, or, you know, whoever, it doesn't matter, you know, find your purpose in who you're being, not what you're doing. And so I sat with that for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And,
Sure did.
you know, there's moments where ego comes back into it. You know, there's this beautiful infinite ocean of love, who we truly are, and then there's little James that's running around doing all this stuff. And every now and then, little James would say, "Oh, you sack of shit! What are you doing? Like, you got to like do something." And I didn't. And one day, I decided to paint some jumpers, and man, I just loved doing that. Yeah, exactly. And then you know, I wore them around, and it was a little reminder to me that I'm going to do what I love to do, and I don't care how it looks or how
Yeah.
it makes other people feel. It's like I love it, you
You
know,
know the
and
you know the
it's a
beautiful
nice reminder.
you know the beautiful thing about that, James, and even just this story about the jumpers, you know, like, because we'll get to one thing in a minute, which is, you know, yes, you were sitting, but in that experience, you know, people still think, well, how about life working out? How about my finances? How about other, you know, they worry about things, but I'm sure you can open up a bit more about how that still worked out for you, probably in ways you couldn't have imagined. But I just love how you just said, I wanted to just do things that I love, and that's all I wanted to do. And even just doing what you loved for yourself and no one else, like doing this jumper. Like, I remember you telling me, I'm just painting jumpers at the moment. And he showed me this jumper. I was like, mate, I'd love one. He ended up sending me one, so thank you.
Hey,
But I remember there's a guy that I spoke to just a couple of weeks ago, James, and his name's Dave, and he told me this story about how he saw this guy standing there in a jumper somewhere, or I think it was you, and he was just like, whatever that guy's got to be able to wear that jumper in public and have a smile on his face, I would. I want what he's got, right? And I love it. And I ended up chatting with him, and he said, I just felt something about that guy. And this is the point of my story, is that, you know, when you're connecting with yourself and you do things from a space of already feeling fulfilled, already feeling that love, you're already giving so much to people by just being yourself in whatever that is. You don't have to go out there and save the people, be a coach, be a mentor, be some. Just be yourself. You know, we hear that all the time, and I just love this story about the jumper thing, because you just had an effect just on that, you know, and what you did. It's when you do things from that space of purity and love, it's amazing what it reaches into in others and reminds them of and connects them with, you know. And I think that's beautiful, and I see that just even in your path right now and the people that you connect with, and now what you're doing going forward, you know, just simply being yourself right now, which is magic. So thanks for sharing that. That you reminded me just of that little story there.
yeah, yeah, um, yeah. But you know, in terms of how it felt to follow my feeling, like I say, you know, I was blessed with not really having a choice. I felt like I kind of needed to do this, and it's been it's been a beautiful it's been a beautiful experience, you know,
Mm.
um, and it's you just, I mean, anyone that's listening, or just anyone in the world, you just like it doesn't have to make sense. If you know, then you know. If you feel it, then that's the truth. And
Yeah,
there's no script, you know, or if there is, you're writing it, you know.
beautiful. It's so true.
Yeah.
So
So
how about
yeah.
how do you look at things now with your experience, and like, you've been doing this now for a couple of years, following a feeling, getting to know yourself from that place rather than in the story so much. But, you know, with what's going on in the world, what's your response been like? What's been your experience been like now? compared to maybe what it may have been like a few years back. But what's your experience like
Oh,
now?
look, you know, I so there's a couple of things that I have to say. Is one, I'm in my story in my life right now. I don't have a business that's dependent on people coming in. Like I haven't been affected in my story. So
Yes,
the people that have, you know, I'm with humility. I'm saying my heart goes
100%.
out to them. Um, but also I've just witnessed it. It's been fascinating, you know, from my perspective, just watching what's going on, and you know, I've been excited for people because this time creates a massive amount of innovation, and this will push people the way that my story did however many years ago. This will push people in directions that they would never have expected. And
Mm,
as difficult as it seems now, it will be, you will look back on it, people will look back on it and go, whoa, what an amazing time. You know, what an
yeah.
incredible catalyst that was for transformation. Who would have imagined that I'd be doing this, you know? Um, you know, I remember the GFC and I just started my business, and I remember thinking, oh, fuck, like, really? GFC? I'm just starting a business. Oh, but it made me a better business person for sure. And I remember, um, I look back at that now, and a lot of bankers, a lot of very intelligent people that were putting all of their energy and intelligence into just banking, into making more money, did other stuff. You know, they got
Mm,
out and they created incredible. That was the big impetus for the explosion in wellness, because a lot of these
mm,
people got out of finance and banking, said, I've got to work on myself. I've got to sort myself out. How can I game this? How can I make this work? Bang. We saw an explosion. It was no accident that all of
yeah.
these incredibly talented people were freed from their script. Um, and it's happening again now, but on a grander scale. You know, people are going to put their energy and intelligence and just magic into connecting with people, connecting with themselves, saving the beautiful planet that we live on. You know, it's going to be an amazing time in history that we're living, because our priorities are shifting, whether we like it or not.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'm excited.
Yeah, me too, man. I
Yeah.
definitely feel that, and I'm glad like I said, I'm not someone that's directly affected like you mentioned, and obviously as I've mentioned it previously over the past couple of weeks, and why I'm doing lots of this to give some sort of inspiration, to anyone, regardless of what you're facing, that, you know, things things sometimes happen. Like I put up a quote the other day that, sometimes the things that you judge as, that happened to you, that you saw them as so bad, are sometimes some of the best things that set you on a completely different direction. Exactly what you're sharing right now, and sometimes you've got to trust that process. And as much as it can be somewhat painful or fearful because you can't see where you're going, if you can come back to trusting the process and being present, it's amazing to see how things always work out. It's always a good reminder. So it's cool that you reference something in the past, where you probably thought at the time, shit, I just started a business. This is horrible. I can't see my way out of it. And then bang, like it's such a good reminder right now, especially to people that are maybe stuck a little bit in that sort of fear and worry. So really good point there. Susie from Turquoise Lane says James Duigan for Prime Minister. The fan. uh, um,
I mean, just because I met Susie at the retreat, and I often see her as a real inspiration, because she's like genuinely, like, she walks her talk. And
totally.
you know, like, she's like, no, I'm really, like, this is how I feel. I'm like, yeah, that's how we feel, but not really. She's like, no, really. I'm like, whoa, like, she lives it. It's amazing. The courage and the commitment that she lives with is incredible. And so yeah, that's just something that I've got to say, because she's a really strong and amazing person. She's very cool.
We'll get ready for our next guest at some stage. It's definitely Susie.
Oh,
Get you out here having a chat.
definitely. Yeah,
Yeah,
amazing.
There's some amazing things I've
Um,
seen her do and follow the feeling regardless of the story, especially when the bushfire thing was on. She did something which I think shifted a whole lot of retailers around her. So we may open up about that, but it was crazy at the time. Um,
yeah.
Kobe, are you still in the wellness world? And if so, what are you doing now? Kobe asks you.
I guess I sort of am. Um, oh, hey, Suze. Uh, no, I sort of am. So maybe I am by accident still in the wellness world, because I've always had trouble sleeping, and I just thought I just want to make something that's going to help me sleep. That's actually good for me. Helps sort of like maybe heal me on a cellular level. Do all this stuff, and so I contacted someone in America that I really trust and admire, um, a lady called Kendra, and I said, "Can you put something together that's going to be kind of like a bit of a game changer?" And she said, "Yeah, no problem." And anyway, it arrived yesterday, and I'll be testing it today, and I'll probably bring that to market, and see how it goes, because every step of the way it's felt very true, it's felt fun, um, and I'll keep doing it. So that'll be where I'm at in the wellness world. Um, just
I heard
again following.
I heard you're also creating a pretty special space up in Byron. Is that true?
Oh, yeah, that is true. Um, that was that was another sort of interesting experience, because for years, me and Chrissy had sort of dreamed together of like, can you imagine having a beautiful block of land in the hinterland in Byron Bay, and um, you know, amazing kind of thing. And I'd sort of been uh, one of my best friends in the world, who for years had inspired me with his story. He's produced films and so on and so forth, but very humble and just full of love. Uh,
Yeah, definitely.
Have been helping me, yeah, have been helping me look for a place, and we sort of both came across this block of land. I can't remember even how it happened, um, but it got to the point where, and I was still sitting with, I'm not sure what I'm going to do, but I'm okay with that. I was feeling so blessed to be a father, and a husband, and all of these amazing things, and I felt like, I wonder what's going to come. And anyway, this block of land came up, and I thought, this is the one. I'm going to buy it. And so I remember calling you just before, like 20 minutes before I was going to push the button. And I said, "Oh, hi, Jamie. It's little James here, having a bit of a freak out." And you sort of like, "All right, what's going on?" I was like, "I'm going to buy this thing. It's a lot of money, and I don't have the money, and it's no finances arranged, but what do you think?" And you said, "Yeah, you should do it. It'll ignite something in you. Like, go. How do you feel?" And I was like, "Yeah, I feel like this is the thing." You're like, "Go for it." Terrible advice, by the way. And and so I did it. We made the offer, and then within a day, we just arranged the deal of the century. Like, the money came. The money came. The money
Of
was
course it
always
did.
there. Yeah, the money was always there, but it became, apparent, and it's been the most incredible experience, and it's just been so fun all the way through. And my partner on this has been, joy to work with, because we're both on this journey. We both, get on calls with you as well. It's been brilliant. I just
Yeah.
following the feeling. I just cannot recommend it enough. You have to.
You have to. I remember that call, and the most important thing I think was, when I asked you, what do you feel to do? Like, I feel it. There's something in it. And that was the most important thing,
Yeah.
and a lot of the time when you're following this feeling, it happens moment by moment. But that's probably one of the scariest things for a lot of people, because they're looking for reassurance ahead of them. They're looking for reassurance or certainty in the story. So it's scary just to follow the feeling, but you do it enough, like you're experiencing, James, those past couple of years, and you continually see how things work out to support you all the time, no matter what. You just stop thinking so much, and there's this different way of life, this different way of being able to experience things unfold. So I love that. But yeah, that was an awesome story too. But I'm looking forward to running a retreat up there maybe one day. We'll see. But it's beautiful
it's
story.
beyond beautiful. Yeah. I mean, funnily enough, just on that, the big worry about it was that it didn't have water. So that was going to be a big issue because it wasn't on mains water. And about 2 weeks ago, we discovered a natural spring that runs under the water. And we bored down and we found a well and the water springs up. And now we've got abundant, limitless drinking water.
No way.
It's amazing, Yeah.
That's incredible.
It's incredible.
I love it.
Yeah.
Man, it's good when you get to experience things like this. And, I suppose it hasn't always been easy, though, too, because you had your challenges, right, in firstly stepping out and following a feeling, regardless of the story telling you it's crazy. What gave you the willingness or the, blind faith, be it, in the beginning? When you say that I had no choice, what brought you to that point? What brought you to the point of I just have to trust now this feeling?
Look, I guess something, the sort of the saddest time in my life was losing my dad. He was my best friend and the kindest, most wonderful person, amazing. And, he was a beautiful, beautiful soul, still is. With my dad, he had found so much joy in his family. And actually, when he died in my arms, it was such a powerful experience. And his last words to me were, "James, I'm still fighting. I haven't given up." And that was it. That was his last words. And that was very sort of, it was just so amazing for me because I realized, wow, you can lose but not be beaten. Like he kept going, it never beat him. He lost, but he never got beaten. And that was an inspiration for me. I was like, I'm going to keep going. Nothing's going to stop me. And that was always, I used that as a motivation to sort of, win in the story. And then I realized, wow, that power, that's what's inspiring me to move with my feeling. That's where I'm directing that inspiration, is to just follow my heart. What am I afraid of?
I love that.
And with my dad, he devoted his life to, it was amazing. He devoted his life to educating Indigenous kids. At his funeral at the church, there was a lineup. You couldn't get into the church. Dad was such a humble person. He didn't, never talked about anything, but you couldn't get into the church. And they had these, Aboriginal guys playing didgeridoo with the organs, and it was the most amazing experience.
Celebration.
And then when we went to sort of figure out what to do with his stuff, and we went into his room and he didn't have any possessions, had a guitar and that's it, and clothes that I'd given him. And I was like, okay, there's a lesson in that, there's something beautiful there. And so, that's,
wow.
It also gave me some tangible things to sort of hold on to, of like, okay, this definitely comes to an end, this experience in this body. It's not going to last forever. So, and no one, so when you realize that you're going to die, 100%, then get living.
Yeah.
That's an amazing gift, it was a beautiful, and it took me a long time to find anything that was of anything. You know, I just figured when Dad died, I was just going to be sad for the rest of my life. That's what I figured, you know.
Yeah.
But the gifts that I found in it were amazing. And so that sort of it woke me up, and is a constant reminder. And and then about a year ago, last year, and you were there at the retreat, you know, and I just was sitting there and I was feeling very connected to myself, and then I just felt completely connected to my dad, and I realized that I hadn't lost him. You know, I'd never been separate from him ever, and it was beautiful because I stopped being sad. I just thought, wow, I, I've been here all along, you know. And I even remember I was driving back. Shani and Cam were giving me a lift back from the retreat, and someone asked me a question, and I just answered in my dad's voice. I was like, oh, like I could feel him, I could hear him, he was there. It was just beautiful, you know. And that's been an incredible lesson as well in terms of just understanding that everything is here, you know. I don't lack anything. I haven't lost anybody. I haven't lost anything. I'm just living. And by the way, it's not like I've reached this level of enlightenment and now I'm Buddha and, like, you know, everything's great. It's I still find myself back in ego, back in little James, freaking out every now and then, getting pissed off at this or whatever. But in general, more and more, I'm living just, you know, being guided by that feeling. Call it love.
The big James. The big James.
Yeah.
Mate, that's a beautiful, beautiful story, what you shared there. And I hope people feel what James is saying, and I'm sure they do. I can see all these love hearts going up. But that space in which James is talking from and feeling that sense of connection is something that's always there. It's never not there. It's just that we sometimes leave that in our judgments of our stories and what's happening to us. So it's so beautiful right now to be able to slow down and connect with ourselves and come back to that space and realize what's been there. And I think that's what's exciting, James. You know, I think you saying that before with what's happening in the world, we're connecting with ourselves in ways we haven't had to before. We've never maybe even thought of. So it's such a beautiful opportunity right now. And I can relate, you know, to what you're sharing. And I've had similar experiences to what brought me along my own journey, you know, over a decade ago to experiencing what I'm experiencing and living and also sharing now, you know. So, mate, it's incredible to watch what you do and how you live. And I'm inspired, you know, I'm inspired by you and the way in which you, live wholeheartedly. You know, regardless of the story right now, you're really bringing a really powerful space with you. And I see that reflected in the experience you're having with your family and they're close to you. So pretty special stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man, I hope you, Man, I had some other questions, but I don't really care to ask you these questions anymore. I think you just nailed it. Like what you just shared, I think is really going to hit home for people. And that's what I wanted to do in these conversations, just give people a sense, a feeling, you know, a feeling of what's there within themselves. And I hope you all felt that. Before we go, if there's anyone got questions or anything for James, let me know. I'm going to have a quick look through the questions here. Susie says, this is beyond heart exploding, James. A lot of people have put up love hearts. Lovely story, James. Thank you. Of course, Schmidt. Christina Tinkerbell wants an XL pink and blue jumper for Maddie, please. On its way. Someone, your wife isn't happy. She says she still hasn't got a jumper.
Oh yeah, well, yeah.
cool. I think that's it, guys. Before I go, a lot of people saying they love this conversation um, and what's been shared. Jack, thank you for sharing. What a beautiful conversation to be witnessing. Very special. Yeah, cool. Well,
Oh,
guys,
I love Jack. I miss
yeah,
Jack.
Jackie, Jack. Hope you're well, Jack.
The best.
Yeah, I know. Look, I'd love to continue a conversation with you in some form at some point because I just love conversing with you, and I think people enjoy what they get from it. So we'll see what that holds. We sometimes joke about it in our sessions. Imagine if someone was listening to this. But probably because of that, we find some things comical in your process. But otherwise, no, very
Yeah.
special, very heartfelt. Always follow your heart. Thank you, James, says Kobe. Jack says she misses you too. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, cool, Jack. Well, yeah, James, thanks, mate. Thanks for taking some time to have a conversation with me and open up. You've, I'm sure, touched people's hearts and just reminded them of what's important and also what's possible. So, yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you. And yeah, let's do it again. I'll get better internet connection and we'll talk again.
Yeah, let's do that. I'll let you guys know. We'll maybe have another conversation or just another session in here or something. We'll let you know. But I know James has got a big heart and he's very good at sharing from that space. And so yeah, very special. But mate, I'll let you go. Give Chrissy a hug and the kids some love. And look forward to chatting to you soon, mate. Thank you for everyone that got
All
on
right,
here.
mate. Love you. Yes.
See you
Speak to
guys.
you
Lots of
soon.
love. See ya.
Bye.